Thank you, David, and ladies and gentlemen. So it's very much a perspective different from what Richard had mentioned. I want to walk with you through the real story. How do we select vaccine for use in Vietnam? And of course, I will mention a little bit about our national FMD control program, the criteria for vaccine selection, difficulty encountered so far with the approach that we employ so far, and the alternative approaches that we are now pursuing, and final one is acknowledgement. So, in another time of controlling the disease, we already, implemented so far 4 phases of the national control program. We've been one of the most active countries, followed by just after Thailand and Malaysia in terms of disease control program in the region. Every year, about 20 million doses of vaccine being imported and used in Vietnam. Apart from the vaccination campaign along the national vaccination program, we also stockpile the national reserve, and that kind of vaccine only be used in case of our response. And of course, with that quite large amount of vaccine, we have to come up with a criteria of selection, because we are using the government budget. So it's very strict in terms of public disbursement, and we have to utilize the OIE terrestrial animal, the chapter 2.1.8, and very much is on the VNT. So. For the period from 2010 to 2015, more of the serotype detected was serotype A, and we do detected serotype A from time to time. And as I just mentioned, the VNTs, which are R1 value being the choice of selection for the vaccine strain. And we've been only doing so with the support from the World Reference Laboratory for FMD at Purprai. And so far, O-Maniza and O3039 were selected as the candidate strain for our vaccine, and it's being used with a little with a minor revision that I'm going to mention a little bit later. For the A, we identified A May 97 and A22 Iraq. For AGL1, it's Samir. Here's the detail. It could be, the R value might be changed over the year. If you look at it, it's not always corresponding to the same strain, so it varies by year. But with that approaches, we are following the standard set by OIE, but it's really not easy at all for it. For number one, in order to ensure the field strain is representative, it requires firstly the capability of the national veterinary services to be able to monitor any changes in the serotype. So it's number one, it requires the capability of the veterinary services to ensure the adequate surveillance. Number two, it will take some time in order to define a strain to be a representative strain or not. And it's really difficult for the company to decide whether the vaccine manufacturer to consider whether to change their antigen in the vaccine or not. If let's say within just 3-4 months after the first outbreak, definitely the manufacturer will not quickly change the antigen. So we have a problem with that. And then also, if we want to conduct our VNT for vaccine matching, it's almost no way, because we cannot access to the vaccine strain. And right now we are facing with the timeline needs in order to recommend to the government whether or not to change to a new vaccine. So given the first reason is that the strain needs to be representative enough. The second one is that the vaccine matching, if being done by PERPRI, need to be also conducted in a very short time period. But actually, in reality, we don't have that requirement. It took us and also the Wuhan laboratory for usually 5 to 6 months to get the vaccine matching result available. And for all those two reasons, number one is that we need to determine that it is already there, the representative strain being identified, then the outbreak already widespread. And secondly, the vaccine matching result available is outbreak already spreading to many other locations. With those difficulty, we now have to come to our own solution, that's developing our own vaccine, so as we can conduct the VNT by ourselves and also change the antigen quickly if we want to. So we are not really waiting for the manufacturer to adapt, to change their virus sheet, and also not to wait too long for the vaccine matching result to be available. So with all our pressure, we are now moving to develop our new vaccine. It will be available within the next 6 months. So, but what's the challenge we are facing now? The new incursion, as you heard this morning from Dr. King, that the new strain, India 2001, now introduced into the region and into Vietnam in particular. So right now, the current vaccine that we've developed still provide adequate protection. But what happens if we have a new introduction? Then, the approach of developing our own vaccine might not be still the, the most approach to pursue. So, with that, just some new information on the new strain that detected. So we got plenty of serotype circulating in the country. Now we got one new strain, so it makes the efforts might be more challenging. I would like to conclude my talk with the acknowledgement for our department, the GFI, and especially Al for supporting me to be here today. Thank you very much.